So I hope everybody can see the screen, right?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So just I'll give a brief outline about like what about a trust problem. Okay. Though this is not there as a part of the syllabus, I'll just give a brief outline about what is a trust problem, and then we will go detailedly into how to execute the same problem in answers. Okay. So the link that I have given at the top, it is from the University of Alberta. Okay. If you go there, you could get a lot of answers tutorial. Okay. This is something like we have adopted it from that particular website. If you go to those particular website, you'll get a lot of information about answers. So those who get time, you can browse through that link and check. So this is a stress problem, what you see in the screen. So in today's class, what we'll be doing is we will be using ANSYS software and solving this trust problem. If you look at the question today, we are trying to understand the nodal deflections. So the point 1, 2, 3, 4 are all the nodes. So we'll see the nodal deflections, and we'll also talk about the reaction process. So you see this point 1 and 7, they are clamped to the ground. So this is the area where you get the reaction forces. So we will compute the reaction forces, and we'll also see what is the stress that is acting on the truss system. If you look at the truss system, this looks very similar to that of the girders of the suspension bridges. If you look at suspension bridges, under that you will have these kind of structures. So these structures are quite important in engineering industry. So we will see like how to solve this in ANSYS software. So if you look at this, the point 1 is actually fixed to the ground permanently. It cannot move itself. There is no free movement. All degrees of freedom are locked in point 1. And if you look at point 7, here you are locking it in only one direction, y direction, whereas in horizontal direction it could move. So this is how we are giving the fixation conditions for the truss problem. And in this condition, we are giving the Young's modulus as 200 gigapascal, and the area of this cantilever beam, sorry, the area of the truss problem is given as 3250 mm square, and the dimensions, like, and the force acting on the truss is being given. So just for you to just refresh your engineering mechanics concepts to understand the stress problem, the forces, the reactions at F1 and F7 can be easily computed by means of equating the moments to zero, and by means of equating the force to zero, considering static conditions. Okay, so if you equate all the moments to zero, the entire sets of moment will be equal to zero, whereas we don't have the answer for F7. So you could get the value is 617 kilonewton by solving the above equation. And if you look at the ground one, okay, so this is also by means of equating the forces to zero, you compute F1, okay, which is 513 kilonewton. This is just for your reference, okay, just for a reference on how we are doing it. But we will be solving this with the ANSYS software, just giving you an outline. So this can be eliminated in the future. Going forward, you could use ANSYS software and get all these solutions. So we get F1 and F7 and F1. They are the reaction forces. And then at this particular member, for this particular element member, what is the force acting? For this, again, we use the concept of resolution of forces from engineering mechanics. And by resolving this, we calculate FE1, 269 kilonewton. If you are going to do this mathematically, you have to do for every links, which is quite a cumbersome process. This can be eliminated by means of using ANSYS software. So just for a sample reference, we have shown only for FE1 alone. Okay, for FE2, FE3, if you have to do the calculations, will go on and on and on. It's just time consuming. With the help of ANSYS software, you could get these solutions at an ease. Then we also look about the stresses acting on element. So that is this is very easy. It is force by area, which is we substitute these values and get the stress at element 1. Similarly, we can also compute stresses at each of the element bars. All these things can be done very easily with ANSYS software. Just for one element alone, how to do mathematically something like we have briefed it here. So similarly, displacement. So when the load is acting, what happens is this point 2 moves from this particular position. Okay, so this happens. So when this deflection happens, what is the deflection? Okay, this can be calculated by the formula FL by AE. So in substituting this, the deflection is 1.49 mm. But our focus will be on to very calculate about the deflection amongst all the points. Okay, so to what extent when it's deformed, it moves from the reference point. All those things in today's class in the answer solution we will figure out. Okay. So we will. So this is the condition that we are going to have. We are converting everything in for today's conditions in millimeter. Usually for all the cases, that's how we have done. So you can have everything in meter, or you could convert everything into millimeter. Here the input length and the young's is in millimeters. So we're taking everything in millimeter. E is taken as 2000 and A is taken as 3250 millimeter square. And if you look at the green parameters, these are coordinates. You remember in the earlier classes, we bring in something called key points in ANSYS software. Okay, the key points is nothing but coordinates. So we need to use these coordinates to create this structure in ANSYS software. So if you look at this 0, 0, then if you go to the point 2, it is half of 3.6. So the x coordinate distance is 1800, and then the y distance is 3118 mm. So like this, for each point, you have to calculate the coordinates. So in order to execute this problem in ANSYS software, for the given question, you have to draw this. This is very, very important. Okay. Actually, this is not a condition that is required in exam perspective, but in order to key in the points into the ANSYS software, you need to generate these points. Okay. If you are able to do it directly, it's not a problem. But in order to avoid mistakes, because since this sets the main critical condition for the problem, we request you to do it once in the worksheet and then use this to map map it in the ANSYS software as key points. So then there is something called element table. So in the previous cantilever sums, we used element table, right? Where we use a sequence number. Okay. In this case, from the element table, we use a parameter called LS. So this is very important. You will not be in a position to execute this element table from home because you don't have that access in the version that you have. When you come to college, you could do this and see. Okay. So that is just a simple step in the final part alone. That alone you could come here and do by just briefing you. Okay, and we will do and show you, and the video also I'll make it available in the LMS for you. But only thing is, for the trust problem, we will not use the sequence number. We will be using LS. Okay, now we'll move on to the ANSYS software. So in today's class, we'll be calculating nodal displacements, reaction force, and maximum stress. We are going to the ANSYS software. So in the ANSYS software, once you launch the ANSYS software, you'll get this green screen. There you click on trust in the job name, and then you click on the run button. You will get this screen. Okay. So after opening the screen, the first step what we go is we go to preferences. Go click preference. Once you click on preference, this dialog box, the preference for GU filtering dialog box opens up, where we have to check the structural button. Okay, this is almost same for almost all the 5 sums. Okay, now we are clicking OK. Now in the ANSYS software, we have indicated it to the ANSYS software that today we are solving a structural problem. Next, I go to preprocessor. I click on preprocessor. There I select element type. Click on element type. If you click on element type, a lot of things will get open. In that, you have to click add, edit, delete button. Once you click on add, edit, delete button, the element types box pops up. There down at the down of the element types box, you have a button for adding. Click on add. Okay, so if you click on add, in previous cases we have selected beams and solids, but in trust problem we are solving links, so we have to click links. Just remember, for cantilever we use beams, for solid problems we use solid. Now for this sum we will be using links. Just click on links. There 2 options are available. In that box, you have to select the 3D Finet STN 180. That is the only thing you need to select here, and click OK. And then click close. Now we have selected element for the trust problem. Next we go to real constants. So real constants we use only for 2 problems, that is solid problem and for the trust problem. Only for these problems we use real constants. Here I click on add, edit. The real contents dialog box opens. You click on add. If you click on add, it shows what type of object is you have selected. Click OK, and it is asking for area. So the area is 50 millimeter square. I am entering the value. You can also check the given condition in the question. It is 3250 millimeter square. So we have keyed in that particular value. So if you remember in the previous class, here we entered thickness. In this class, we are entering it as area. So this is a real difference that we see in the fourth and fifth exercise. Now we go to material properties. This is as usual. Click on material models. If you click on the materials model, define material model behavior dialog box pops up. Here you click on structural. Once you click on structural, all the options will be listed. In our case, we are handling a linear problem. So we click linear. This gives you an option called elastic. Click on elastic. There three different types of materials are available for you. Isotropic, orthotropic, anisotropic. Here you click isotropic. Now, like if all the cases, here we enter the Young's modulus value, which is 200 e power 3. And the Poisson's ratio value, in general, we take it as 0.3, commonly for steels. So we click OK. Now, while going it, click on material, click on exit. So, here we have defined the element type, real constants, and material properties. Now we go to modeling. In case of beam sums, we go for sections. Here it is not required. Here we directly go for modeling. Click on modeling. So in the modeling, you have to click on create button. There you have to click on key points. You remember we have generated the key points, okay, in the PowerPoint. So all the key points we need to feed in here. So click on inactive CS. The coordinate system will open. So here if you go to the PowerPoint, have this informations. The green information is something like you need to key in for coordinate points. So key point number 1, 0, 0. We click only apply. If you click on OK, the box will close. So always click only apply. For the last point alone, you click OK. For the second point, it is from that particular PowerPoint, we take this value 1800 to 3118. Third point we enter. Go for the fourth point. In all these values, we are entering it from the PowerPoint. 5200 and 3118. You can just check in the PowerPoint. I'm just having a doubt in the 5400. Okay. 5400. You have to be very careful when you enter the value. It's better to check always. Next, we go for key point number 5. It's 7200 per point number 0.5. It is 7200, 0. We are keyed in that. We're going for 0.6. We apply, we verify. Then we go to the last point, 0.7. So we just go back once to the if you can go back to the PowerPoint and you could verify all the coordinate points. So I have given all the coordinate points. So you can see all the key points which marks the reference points of the trusses. After giving all the key points, now I'll generate lines connecting the key points. So for that, in the lines, in the modeling section itself, there is something called lines. Click on lines, and then click on the straight line. The dialog box pops up. Now you move the arrowhead between 1 and 2. Move the arrow between 2 and 3 and 3 and 1. You move the arrowhead by clicking, automatically the lines will get generated. Very simple, it is very simple, like how you did the lines for cantilever beam. Same thing. Okay. Only thing here you are generating more number of lines. So now we have created lines. First we created the key points. Then we connected the key points using lines. So the modeling is almost done. Next, we go to plot controls and we go for numbering. Here, what you do is, this is very new for you, so follow it very clearly. We gone to plot controls. We went on plot controls. We clicked on numbering, and then here we go to node numbers. We check it. We bring it on, and then we select element numbers. So actually, what we are trying to do is, we have used 11 elements in this particular stress problem. We want to number them. So for that particular reason, we are actually doing this process in order to number all the elements. So in order to know the elements, we go to plot controls. We click on the numbering option, and then you get this plot numbering controls. Here you go to node numbers. In the node numbers, check on. Okay, and then in the element attribute numbering, there are a lot of options available. Check the element numbers and hit OK button. Okay. Now, next we go to. So with that, modeling is done. Like as usual, after modeling, we go for meshing. In order to do meshing, you click mesh tool. Once you click mesh tool, what happens is like the mesh tool dialog box opens. There with respect to lines, click on set. The element size dialog box opens. So here you click on pick all. See at the bottom, there is a button called pick all. Click on pick all. Now it is asking for number of element divisions. See, in this case, we will give the number of element division as 1. In the previous case, we gave 50, 40. In this sum, we give only number of element divisions as 1. You keep in mind, for cantilever, we gave 50. For solids, we gave 40. Here, we are giving number of element divisions as 1. Click on OK. Okay. And again, click on mesh tool. Click mesh. Again, the mesh line dialog box pops up. And at the bottom, you see there's a button called pick all. Click on pick all. If you click on pick all the points will be picked. You could see the element numbers, all the points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the elements. So we have 11 elements in the today's stress cases. So all the elements are being numbered. Next, we go to the solution. So the condition is all being set. Now we go to the solution. So where we go to define the loads, there you click on apply. Under apply, click structural and you click on displacement. So here we do this to log the points 1 and 7. So in the question we saw that point 1 and 7 are logged. So we are going to log now. So I'm selecting the key points. So I select the first key point and then I click OK in the dialog box. Now the first point I arrest in all sides, all degrees of freedom. So the displacement is 0. So I check all degrees of freedom, give the displacement value as 0 and click apply. Okay. So if you look at the diagram, you could see that the point 1 is being logged. Now again, I select point number 7. And in this dialog box, I click OK. For this, we are not arresting all directions, only Y direction we are arresting. So you have to check only Y and ensure that all degree of freedom is not selected as blue. It should not be highlighted. Only UI should be highlighted because we are locking only the Y direction. Click OK. Okay. You can see 0.7 is logged in Y direction alone. Okay. So this is the boundary condition we are setting as per the question given. And then we go to force moment. Okay, then we go to force moment at a structure itself. There again click on key points. And then once you click on click point, the dialog box pops up. There select the point number 1 and hit OK. It asks you for the load acting in point 1. It is in Y direction. So we give Y and the force value as given in the sum. It is 280 kilonewton. So we are taking it as 280,000. So apply. Next again, click on the next point. And click on the force acting in the next point, which is 21,000. Apply. Then click on the next point and click OK. And then give the force. 280. Click apply. Click on the last point and determine the force. It's 360. So from the question, we have given all the forces onto the truss problem. Now we have to solve it. You have to go to the solve. In the solve, Click on current LS. So the problem is run, solution is obtained. Click on close. Now we'll go to read the result. Go to general post processing. In the general post processing, so like what are the results that we are expecting here today is nodal deflections. Okay, first we'll go to the plot result. We click on deform shape, look for deform plus undeformed, click on OK. See, you get the DMX button. That is the maximum deflection. So when these kind of forces acts on this truss, what happens is you could see how you can watch the element numbers 1, 2, 3 with reference to the initial element numbers and see like how they have moved. Okay, this all indicates like there is a deflection from the reference on application of these loads. So the DMAX we obtain for the entire truss is 7.4. Next, we go to other results, go to list result. In the list result, click on nodal solution. When you click on nodal solution, the list nodal solution dialog box opens up. Click on DOF solution and then you click on displacement vector sum and click OK. Okay, so this shows the deflection, okay, at each nodes. Okay, it shows how to what extent this point 2 has deviated from the reference 2. See, if you look at all the nodes, one, if you look at one, the particular point, if you look at one, it is 0, 0 and 0, 0 in both x and y, which means like there is no deflection in point 1. If you look at point 2, there is a deflection in x direction of 3 mm and in y direction a down of minus 3 mm. It indicates like the point has moved. So like this, if you look at all the points, you can see what is the displacement of the particular point from the reference value. And if you closely observe point number 7, the point number 7 has not moved in y direction, has moved only in x direction. It is because of the constraints that we applied. So which is very clearly seen here. So this is one result that you get with respect to deflection. The total deflection that we obtained is 7.490, which is also here the maximum deflection is 7.490. And with reference to each points, what is the deflection? Each nodal points, what is the deflection can be obtained from this table. For this, we have to go to list results. Under list results, nodal solutions. You click on this, you get this result. Okay. So we go to the, you can also save this and keep. File, save as. You click on that and you could save the results and keep. Next, we are moving to reaction solutions. What is the reaction? We got in point 1 and 7. We are going to figure that out. So next we go to reaction solution. Click on the reaction solution button. A dialog box pops up called risk reaction solution. Here you click on all structure force. You click on all structure force F. Click OK. Okay. It shows you the reaction. It shows you the reaction. You can see 513 kilonewton and 616 kilonewton. If you look at the solution also, that was the answer obtained for us. 617 and 513. So we get the reactions. Okay. So the reaction has been obtained. So again, I'm telling you how to get the reaction results in general post processing. In general post processing, under list results, under reaction solutions, click on reaction solutions. The dialog box of risk reaction solution pops up where you select all structure force F and click OK. You get the reactions at the two fixed nodes 1 and 7. Next, we go for element table. So here we are going to see the stress. Now this part is alone we cannot do at the home and see. So you observe here, the video will be made available for you through LMS. When you come back here, I will also be there, Giri will also be there. We will try to even help you solve when you come for the real-time classes here. Okay. So you click on the element table, click on define table, click on the add button. So in the add button, you have to select by sequence number. In the by sequence number, usually what we do is we select SMISC for cantilever beams. For in this case, you have to select LS. That is the difference. For cantilever beam, it is SMISC. For trusses, it is LS. And the code we are giving is 1. And click OK. And close. And then next go to plot element table. There LS1 is already being displayed. Click OK. You could see the stress graph. You can see the maximum stress that is being act on this particular truss. So you could see mx that indicates the maximum stress, and the value goes to about 91.18 Newton. Okay, so that is the maximum stress that is actually acting on that particular point. You could see that is in red direction. Okay, if you look at the graph bar at the bottom, it indicates you in different colors the stress ranges. So you could do a mapping with the solution that is obtained, and the red zone indicates the maximum stress, and the mx is the maximum, and you can also see the deflection value listed in this particular point. So here you could take a screenshot and keep. So that plot element table, you get the stress distribution. Then we go to list element table. You go to list element table, again select ls1 and click OK. You get all the elements and what is the stress associated with each element. Okay, so for instance, we calculated manually only for one element in the PowerPoint, for which I think we got somewhere around 82.8. So that is what no we have obtained there as well. Okay, so calculate manually calculating for all the 11 point will be very difficult for us. Whereas if you know the answers software, at a click of a button, you get the stress values for all the 11 elements in the truss. So with this, we come to end of stress solution.
So,
1 second. Yes, Venkatesh, you can ask.